Hi, my name is Paul Anderson, and I'm a science teacher at Bozeman High School. I'm the 2011 Montana Teacher of the Year, and I'm one of 4 finalists for the 2011 National Teacher of the Year. Today I'd like to talk to you about 3 ways that I think we can improve education and how that's reflected in what we're doing at Bozeman High School. First of all, I think we need to make connections within our community. I think we, secondly, need to optimize the system and learn from our failings and make the system better. And finally, we need to bring the appropriate level of rigor back to the classroom. So the COR, or core of what I want to talk about, is how we make schools better. And it's important because we serve the community. And so we want to make our schools as efficient as we possibly can. So first of all, how do we make connections with the community? Well, about 1.5 years ago, I started uploading science videos to YouTube, and the number of views have grown. In a typical day, I might lecture for a few hours at Bozeman High School, but I might lecture for 500 or 600 hours on YouTube. That gives me a huge amount of feedback from students around the world, makes me a better teacher, and it makes the world a slightly better place. We can also form connections just within our county. So in Gallatin County, our district is working with all the districts in the county, superintendents and school boards, to make our systems more efficient, to form those connections between schools, and to see where we overlap and where we could make the system more efficient. For example, one career center could be used by all those schools. We're also making connections within the community. So we've added a biomedical sciences class at Bozeman High, and what it gives our students is relevance. They're actually reading EKGs, they're doing high cholesterol tests, they're meeting with health professionals from the hospital and from the community, and so they see not only the importance of what they're learning that day, but they can see a clear path to a future career. And we're even forming connections within our schools. So Gallatin College program and Bozeman High School is sharing a welding facility. And so the welding machines are used by students during the day at Bozeman High, and they're used by students in the Gallatin College program at night. That does 2 things. First of all, it saves money by having one facility. But secondly, kids can see in a non-threatening way that they could be in a welding class this year, they could be a welding up at Gallatin College program next year, and then they could be a welder the year after that. And so we're giving them the importance of a career path. But we did that by forming connections between different schools. Okay, secondly, I think we need to optimize the system that we have today. The fastest growing tech company over the last 5 years has been Twitter. And if you went to twitter.com just a few years ago, you would normally be greeted by this picture of a huge whale floated up by tiny birds. This was the dreaded fail whale, and it meant that their servers were overloaded. Now, Twitter didn't see this as a problem. They saw it as an opportunity. And so there's a saying going around Silicon Valley right now, and it's that not only should you fail, you should embrace failure, and you should fail as fast as you can to make your system efficient. So how do we optimize schools? Well, as I talk to people, the one thing I hear over and over again is that you want to improve schools, you have to improve the quality of teachers. How do you do that? Well, let me tell you about what worked in my own career. About 2 years ago, I helped form a group at the high school called the Tech Junkies. It's teachers, administrators, students, community members, and we meet every Wednesday during lunch to talk about technology and how we can use it to improve education. This idea of self-reflection, where I can talk about what I'm doing in my class, share it with other people, and get feedback, is incredibly important in making yourself a better teacher. We're also doing that at the elementary level. So we're using instructional coaches, which are teachers helping teachers to become better at teaching. In other words, they'll sit in on a class, they'll share resources with the teacher, they'll share research with the teacher, but essentially they act as a sounding board. And so you get that self-reflection in our elementary teachers. They can ask somebody questions in a non-threatening way, and it makes them better. I've never met a teacher that doesn't want to become better, but we have to give them the time and the opportunity to do that. And so we need to optimize the system, and we do that by embracing things that we're bad at and making them better. Finally, I think we need to bring the rigor back to the classroom. This year I've been teaching a gifted and talented physical science class, and it's given me a new perspective on how far we can push kids. I've got 30 talented students that I can push as hard as I want, and we're achieving amazing things. Last week I was teaching calculus to freshmen, and they really understood what a derivative was. Now, I'm also a parent, and you know this, as you become a parent, that everything becomes much more important when your own kids are involved. And so this is a big deal to me. I think each kid has to achieve And I think each kid has to be challenged. But we shouldn't just be challenging the kids at the upper end or at the lower end. We should find the appropriate level of rigor throughout that whole group of students in our school. And so how do we do that? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to figure out where they are. And so we're using testing throughout our district in social studies and math, in science and reading to figure out where kids are, not as a high-stakes test to see how we're doing as a school, but to give that individual feedback to teachers so they can give the appropriate level of instruction and place appropriately all the kids in our school. I believe that we need to set the bar high enough to figure out how high kids can actually climb. But that bar is going to differ for each individual kid and each of their individual talents. I think that we need to set up education so that we are challenging each of the students and we're finding the kids where they are. If we're not willing to do that, then we're not willing to give them a quality education. I've talked about a lot. I've talked about how we should make connections with our community, how we should optimize the system by embracing failure and learning from it, and finally, that I think we should bring the appropriate level of rigor. I would love to get feedback from you. If you agree with this, if you disagree, or more importantly, if you have other things that you'd like to talk about, ways that you think we could improve education, I'd love to get an email or get a comment. Thanks so much for watching.